All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages. Is marriage coaching worth your time? So look, you're a busy guy, you're a professional, you're a business owner, you're, you know, you're busy, right? You got stuff to do. So how you use your time, it's really important. And so it's important to figure out, like, is doing marriage coaching worth your time or not? So we're going to talk about that today. My name is Mike Frazier, MD. I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach, and I help high-achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So some wins from guys in my program, the Strong Men, Strong Marriages program. One guy shared a really cool story. He went to like a high school reunion with his wife, and it a place where maybe wouldn't felt as comfortable, wouldn't really liked it. Guys are kind of like flirting with his wife a little bit. And in the past, he would have got really jealous or upset or whatever, but he was able to just kind of talk his wife up and just really be there for her in a cool way. And, she was just so grateful, and they had a great night when in the past it might have been really problematic. So just a cool shift because he learned the skills that you learn in the program. So wives are starting to ask their husbands how they're doing more, how their days are more. Why is that? Because these guys are less mosquito. They're not trying to suck off attention, appreciation, affection from their wives as much. And so that frees their wife up to actually show some more interest and not feel so drained around their husbands. Guys are taking leadership in things like meal planning. When we are leaders, okay, as men, that's what we are called to be, right? Called to be leaders. So one gentleman took the leadership there, and his wife was really grateful, right? That was something that was good for him to do. One gentleman shared he's having a lot less conflict, more fun, more games as a family, which has been great. For me, I've been a little bit sick. You might hear it in my voice a little bit today, but just letting my wife take care of me. And that's kind of been one of the things I've been working on, is just trusting my wife to be there for me, right? And not feeling like I have to do it all by myself, which is kind of an important transition, one that we learn about in the program too. So, and it feels good. It feels good to have your wife there for you. So what you're trying now. So, time, again, it's the one thing we can't get back. And so the way you use it, it absolutely matters, right? And so you're probably already putting some time into trying to change your marriage. In fact, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast, right, if you weren't. So, and I think most guys recognize, hey, like, this is the most important relationship in my life. I want to invest time in that. So maybe you're already listening to a podcast. I know that you're probably reading books. You're probably going to different resources, which is fine, right? You might also be trying traditional marriage counseling, right? So maybe you're going once a week. Maybe you're talking about your issues there. Maybe you're learning some communication skills. Maybe you're getting some homework to do. Maybe not. Typically, guys feel like they don't come out of that with a lot of clear tools to use. Okay, a lot of guys too, they'll tell me they often feel like they're being blamed, and they don't often get a chance to talk very much in therapy. Doesn't always happen. That's a common thing that I hear. So maybe you're trying that, and maybe you're just kind of not really satisfied with the results, or you kind of realize, a lot of guys will come to me because they realize, like, hey, yeah, I'm doing stuff there, but I really need to work on myself here, and we're not doing a lot of that in couples counseling. And I realize I need to change some things on my end, so they come to the program to do that, which is great. Yeah, other guys, they're listening to the podcast, they're reading books, they're trying things on their own, they're going on date nights, right? But the reason that it doesn't always work very well, so marriage counseling, usually it focuses on one of two themes. So there's attachment theory, so Sue Johnson, emotionally focused therapy. The main idea there is that you just need to be there for each other to have a good marriage. Be there emotionally, answer the questions. Are you there for me? Do I matter to you? Right? Which is important. It is important. But the problem that you run into is you wait to share anything with your spouse, and then you complain that your spouse isn't responding well enough, right? So, you're like, let's say you want, it's really important for you to share something with your wife about, you want more intimacy in your marriage, but in the times in the past, she hasn't responded very well to that, or in a very loving way. And so if you go to emotionally focused therapy, what they'll say is, well, your wife needs to respond in a more positive way, but she might not be able to or willing to, so now you're just stuck, right? There's nowhere for you to go. So then there's differentiation theory, which is kind of like, hey, you need to figure out yourself, right? You need to take care of yourself. Figure out your own thoughts, figure out your own feelings. If you listen to those podcasts for a long time, that's a lot of where the focus goes. The problem there, though, is that it can be overly independent versus interdependent. In other words, yeah, like I'm just going to take care of myself and that's all I can do. And hopefully my wife responds and maybe she doesn't. But what we do in the program is we just try to combine both these things, right? We realize, hey, like I do need to take care of myself. I do need to learn strengths and skills. I need to be a strong man. And strong men first, like build up those internal strengths, and then strong marriage. That's when we start working on some of this attachment stuff. How do you be there for each other? How do you communicate well? How do you bring intimacy? How do you trust each other in those ways, right? So we do both, where a lot of marriage counseling probably doesn't. So the other thing about doing, and that's why sometimes it fails, right? The other reason marriage counseling often fails, like up to 70% of couples are the same or worse off after couples therapy. That's kind of the statistics on it. But another reason that fails, a lot of times people don't come out with like clear tools or strategies or like things they can practice. Sometimes they're not really based on how your brain works, the things that they give you. So yeah. The other thing, so doing it on your own, books and podcasts, a lot of times you'll get some good ideas, and hopefully you've gotten some good ideas from the podcast here. And a lot of guys that come into the program have said, hey, like, I appreciate the podcast, I've learned a lot, and I want to take those next steps. Because look, you can get some good ideas, but sometimes it's difficult to apply them effectively. Or you try and it doesn't quite go how you want it, and then you're like, I don't know, maybe I should give up. But more likely what happened is it was a good principle, and you just didn't apply it quite the right way, right? You just needed some coaching to see how to do that. The other thing that happens a lot when you're trying to do things on your own, like it feels really good to learn something new. Oh, like, yeah, I learned this new tip today on this podcast, or I learned that in that book. Yeah, that's great. But a lot of times what happens is you either don't apply it at all, you forget it really soon, or maybe you apply it for a couple of days and then you forget it, right? And so that's why just trying to do it on your own doesn't really work. You need like a system to really rewire your brain and teach you these skills and build your strengths. I really look at my program as building up spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, sexual strength. So the easiest analogy is physical strength, right? If you want to build your physical strength, you need to do a strength training program, and you do that consistently, several days a week. If you just learn about it, if you listen to a podcast about strength training, right, you're not going to get physically stronger. You need to go and do it. The other thing too, like maybe you hear a podcast, then you go try it and they're like, oh, I don't quite understand this, and I didn't quite do it right. Versus if you go see a personal trainer, they give you the right form, the right exercise for you, all of that, right? So the other thing, when you go on date nights together, you spend more time together, you're like, yeah, I need to invest in my marriage. Let's go on date nights. Let's spend that time. The problem is typically things still stay the same. Like you still have the same conflicts, or you still have the same disconnection, since you haven't learned the skills you need to create an intimate marriage. So it's just going to kind of stay where it's at. Okay. So what do you need to do instead? What you need to do instead is go through a training program that's going to teach you how to have great relationships for the rest of your life. Look, you're already putting time into your marriage. Let's just do it in a way that's the most effective and efficient. So in our program, we start with our relationship with God, right? This builds your self-worth and your self-esteem. When you connect with that, feeling genuine love from God, feeling like you are worthy, feeling like you are his son and enough because of that, just like basking in that love, man, like that makes a big difference, because you're not trying to get that as much from your wife when you're there. We start working on that, helps build your self-esteem too. So I like the book You Are Special by Max Lucado, the idea that you're special because God made you and God doesn't make mistakes. Love that line. Just remembering that, right? That can build your self-esteem, meaning how you talk to yourself. So that builds up your relationship with yourself, right? So then you start learning, okay, well, now how do I manage my thoughts and my emotions? How does my brain work? How do my emotions work? How, what am I feeling actually? So this is all internal strength building, right? What happens when you don't manage your thoughts very well is you start believing everything that you think. Oh, my wife doesn't like me. My wife hates me. I'm never going to make a difference, right? All this kind of stuff, right? It kind of beats you down. With emotions, a lot of times we'll bottle them up and then we'll explode. We'll get mad, or we'll turn to pornography or food or stuff like that to kind of try to get rid of our emotions when we can't release them effectively. So yeah, all of that. Becoming a man of your word, becoming a man on a mission, right? Instead of a guy who overcommits and then doesn't follow through, or who doesn't really know what he's doing or where he's going in his life, right? We want to have that. So again, like when you can manage your thoughts and emotions well, release your emotions well in healthy ways, be a man of your word, be a man of your mission, man, like you feel great. So you have great self-confidence at that point. Self-confidence comes from building skills, okay? Like you can have self-worth and know that you're like a son of God, right? That builds self-worth, that builds self-esteem. But self-confidence has to be built through action. Okay, so like learning to manage your thoughts and emotions, you maybe are not very good at that. And the only way you'll be good at it is by practicing. And you'll have confidence when you do it several times and you can become skilled at it. Okay, that's what builds self-confidence. Okay, you have to earn self-confidence. Self-worth, you don't have to earn. Self-esteem, you don't have to earn. Those are like mental and spiritual connections. But self-confidence, you have to earn. Okay, so when you do that, you become a strong man spiritually, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually. And that is attractive. Strength is attractive to your wife. Women are attracted to strength. Okay. So this is kind of like a differentiation based, right? Build up that internal strength. Become a strong man is the way we put it in our program. Okay. So once you're internally strong, a strong man, it's time to build up interpersonal skills, build that strong marriage. So for the easiest way to put that is communication and intimacy. Really, when you have all those internal strengths, that builds trust in your marriage because your wife can trust you to take care of yourself, to take care of her. You're going to be a safe person. But now you need to connect, right? You need to build that attachment stuff, right? Be there for each other, connect in fun ways. Okay. Knowing and being known is another great way to define intimacy. It's a definition we use a lot. So knowing your wife, being able to listen really well to her, being able to get into her shoes, not try to fix everything. Okay, being known instead of stuffing stuff, not telling her what's going on, expressing yourself in ways that are clear. Okay, being there for your wife. Okay, mentally, emotionally, when she's upset, being able to be there with her without getting uncomfortable or leaving or not knowing what to do. Right, just being able to be there with her, and letting your wife be there for you, asking her for things that you want and need, and giving her the chance to be there for you. So yeah, like that takes some practice. Understanding your connection and fighting patterns at a deep level. Where is this coming from, right? Why do I have to stop things right away? Why does she pull away, right? How do we fix that so that we can come back and turn conflict into more connection? Okay, so when you can do all this, that leads to more mental and emotional intimacy. You start having fun, you start connecting, right? So then you bring the fun, flirty, and passion back, and that brings the sexual intimacy that makes marriage special. So look, to build all these things, you need to dedicate time to build these skills. Unfortunately, a lot of us kind of think, oh, I should just know this stuff. But if we didn't see it modeled, we're probably not going to do a very good job of it. In our parents, or even if our parents did have a good relationship, like we can pick up some of that. But when you learn the skills in the program of managing your thoughts and emotions well, of communicating well, like it's just so much better because you have a clear way to teach it. You learn to rewire your brain, right? So look, it takes time. So what we can do for you is if you are willing to dedicate an hour a day, we can help you build all these skills. So it's about 3 20-minute blocks a day. Okay, one in the morning, one sometime during the day, and one in the evening, 20 minutes each. So why does this work? You're already putting time into your marriage, so you might as well do it in a way that's most effective for high-achieving Christian men like you. Okay, so do it in the most efficient way. Don't be spinning your wheels. Spend that time doing what's going to work. Get the results fast. Get them quickly. Okay, so in 60 minutes per day over 90 days, you can build those strengths and skills. Like you will be a new man at the end of the 90 days because of the way the program's set up. And when you practice something every day for 9 days, you just get good at it. Okay, so that helps you create the intimacy you want in your marriage. So you're having fun, you're laughing, you're enjoying time together again, you're just having a good time with each other, right? Being happy when you see each other when you come home, and then setting that example for generations to follow, where they can look at your marriage and say, man, like I'd love a marriage like that. The test for me is always, could I say to my kids, I would love for you to have a marriage like mine? I couldn't have said that for a lot of years, but now I can, right? And I'm proud of that, and I want you to be able to say that same thing. Okay, so do that all while living true to Christian values. So visit strongmen.io and apply to join our program. We want you to be part of it. Create this foundation and legacy for generations to follow. Okay. All right. So stay strong, men. We'll see you next episode. Again, visit strongmen.io or visit the link in the show notes and apply to join. We'll see you there.